All right, I'd like to introduce our next presentation here at the Planet MicroCap Showcase. Now presenting is the team from Byrna Technologies. Take it away.
Thank you very much. My name is Brian Gans. I'm the CEO of Byrna Technologies. This is Luan Pham. He's our Chief Marketing and Revenue Officer. I don't know how much everybody knows about Byrna, so I'm going to start at the beginning. We are a company focused in non-lethal weapons. Our mission is to save lives. You know, this is a short presentation, and I'll try to go through it pretty quickly, but we do have a booth downstairs if you want to stop by and chat a little bit further. Byrna is benefiting from two societal trends that appear to be countervailing on their face, but are both, in fact, tailwinds for Byrna. And the first, as we know, is just sort of a general fraying of the societal fabric. We're even seeing this today on college campuses. There's just an uptick in crime. People are concerned for their personal safety. At the same time, there is people are upset with the level of gun violence in the United States. And both of these are, both of these countervailing trends are tailwinds for Byrna. Our mission is to provide civilians, law enforcement officers, security professionals with a safe, effective, reliable way to protect themselves and their family without resorting to lethal force. So we are traded on the NASDAQ, stock symbol BYRN. Our headquarters is in Andover, Massachusetts, although our sales and marketing office is here in Las Vegas. And we actually have a retail store here in Las Vegas. This afternoon, we will be providing investors an opportunity to come by the retail store, to use our products, to see the retail store model, which we will be replicating in other cities. And at the end of the presentation, we'll talk about the shuttle service we're providing. So what is the TAM for this type of product? I would say to you that there are people on the far right of the 2A debate that are not interested in non-lethal products. Sometimes we'll go to gun shows and we'll hear, if it ain't lead, I'm not firing it. And honestly, there are people on the far left of the 2A debate that say, oh my God, looks like a gun, not interested. But for the 60–70% of normal, sane, reasonable, rational people in the center that want a way to protect themselves, their family, their community, but don't want to take a life, this is our market. I've been a gun owner. Luan's a gun owner. I've been a gun owner most of my adult life. But if I'm really honest with myself, I don't know how quick I would be to pull the trigger. The answer is probably not very quick. You pull the trigger on a lethal firearm, your life is changing forever. Legally, financially, perhaps most importantly, psychologically. With the Byrna, there are no irreparable consequences. There are no fatal mistakes. Because, you wonder, if I hesitate, is that a fatal mistake for me? And if I don't hesitate, am I making a fatal mistake? I often joke, if I shoot the paperboy coming up the driveway by mistake, well, 30 minutes later, he'll be fine. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's going to the morgue. I'll leave a bigger tip at Christmas. But there are no irreparable consequences. So when we look at that market, there are 110 million gun owners in the United States, 140 million non-gun owners, adults. What percentage of that market can we take? What percentage of gun owners would want a non-lethal alternative? Is it 5%, 10%, 20%? Just 10% is 11 million, 10, 11 million people. To date, we have sold 400,000 weapons to approximately 125,000 gun owners. We are just scratching the surface. We think this is a market in the tens of billions of dollars. Okay. In addition to the civilian market, there is a law enforcement opportunity. Now, we do not focus a lot of effort on law enforcement. and we don't focus a lot of effort on law enforcement, partly because Axon has done such a great job with TASER. And, 85% of law enforcement officers carry a TASER, which means there's no room on the duty belt for another weapon. When officers carry a Byrna, it's generally because they're replacing the TASER. That said, we are in over 300 agencies, including ATF, DEA, Secret Service, Homeland Security, along with a number of state and municipal agencies. We do not seek out law enforcement opportunities. On the other hand, we do not turn them away. We have a law enforcement team, former SWAT officers from Galveston. We do training and we support law enforcement because although they're not a big part of our marketing focus, they are incredibly important to us for credibility. They provide, as Lewin likes to say, they provide the street cred so that we understand, exactly what we need to do. People understand that if the ATF is using our product, it's gone through extensive testing. They also provide a lot of the real-world use cases. There are over 1,000 cases of the Byrna being used to stop a criminal, to apprehend a suspect. All of these, of course, without a single life being lost or taken. But about half of these are from law enforcement. So they are important to us. Now, we have a subsidiary in Argentina based in Buenos Aires. There, the law enforcement market is a big part of our business because outside of the U.S., law enforcement is very concentrated. In the U.S., there are 18,500 agencies, most with less than 50 officers. So even if we make a sale, which is a long process, the sale is 50 units. We sell 50 units every day before I have breakfast. So it's not really moving the needle. On the other hand, in Argentina, we sold the Cordoba Provincial Police. They have 40,000 officers. Our first sale to them was $6 million. So we do see an opportunity for growth outside the U.S. in law enforcement. So this is our less lethal pistol. What makes this so unique? First off, as you can see, it looks like a gun. This one's in orange, this less lethal orange. It looks like a gun, it operates like a gun, but unlike a gun, it doesn't take a life. It uses CO2 to fire a projectile. That projectile can either be a hard polymer projectile, a 3-gram plastic marble. That projectile is used for pain compliance. It's used for, to break glass. Oftentimes, law enforcement officers will use it to break a window in a car and then fire our pepper projectiles into the car. The pepper projectiles and our max projectiles use chemical irritants, which attack the central nervous system. It causes respiratory distress. It causes, intense burning sensation wherever it touches the skin. It causes people to involuntarily close their eyes, or what we refer to as temporary blindness. And, although the kinetic projectile is often enough, some people can power through the kinetic projectile. But I don't care how tough you are, when you can't see, you're not going to be able to continue with the attack. What makes the Byrna SD and the Byrna LE so unique is its size. This launcher is the size of a compact handgun. It was modeled, honestly, after my Glock 19, a 9mm handgun. It is the same distance across the barrel as a compact handgun. It's the same distance down the grip as a compact handgun. It's a little bit wider because it's 68 caliber versus 9mm, but it's easy to use. It's intuitive for anybody that's ever held a handgun. Getting that much stopping power into such a small piece of real estate was what really separates us. It allows us to be able to offer something that you can conceal carry, that you can put in your glove box, that you can put in your purse, because if you don't have the weapon with you, then it's of no use for self-defense. The other thing that differentiates our product is some of the patents. One in particular, our pull-pierce patent. This allows you to load the CO2 without puncturing it. So it can sit unpunctured for a day, a week, a year, for 10 years. And when you pull the trigger, it will puncture the CO2 and fire the projectile. Now, why is that important? Well, anybody that's ever, used a CO2 fired weapon knows that as soon as you put the CO2 in, you puncture it and you hear, tss. And like a balloon at a birthday party, it slowly starts to leak, which means, within 24 hours, it no longer has any CO2. So now your launcher is a paperweight, and you have to either, put in a new CO2 every time you take it out, or you have to say, hold on, Mr. Bad Guy, I just need a few minutes here to change the CO2. So the ability to have the CO2 unpunctured, ready to use, really separates Byrna from the competition. We also produce this in rifle form. These are used predominantly for law enforcement, but in fact, we do have a pretty good market within, our civilian consumers. So what are we firing? As I said, we fire both kinetic projectiles and chemical irritant projectiles. Honestly, 50% of the effectiveness of the weapon system is the launcher itself, but 50% is the ammo. It's quite difficult to produce ammo that will be frangible enough so that it will break when it hits the target, particularly a target that may be wearing a puffy jacket or a lot of clothing, but not so frangible that it will break in the launcher. So we use a proprietary variable wall thickness to produce this ammo. Also, it's important that the cloud disperse. If the ammo breaks and the chemical irritant simply falls to the ground without forming a cloud, it becomes ineffective. So a lot of technology goes into the development of the ammunition. There are a lot of videos on our website and frankly, people that have posted videos other than us showing the effectiveness of these chemical irritant projectiles. We also last year brought out a 12-gauge projectile. The thinking behind the 12-gauge is that the 12-gauge shotgun is the most commonly owned firearm in the United States. There are over 100 million 12-gauge shotguns. It's estimated that there are 44 million owners of a 12-gauge shotgun. We wanted to give these shotgun owners the opportunity to buy a $40 box of ammo so that they could convert their 12-gauge lethal weapon into a non-lethal weapon. I will tell you honestly, this came out last year. Our sales on this have been relatively small. It's less than $1 million of the approximately $80 million in sales we'll do this year. But we think that there's a huge opportunity for growth in the 12-gauge space. So we are primarily a DTC company. 75% of our sales are online, primarily Byrna.com, but also Amazon.com. And this has been the trend of our daily sessions. Daily sessions are critical to us. We have a conversion rate of about 1%, meaning for every 100 people that come on our website, we get one purchase. How do we drive people to our website? Well, in the beginning, I started this business in 2018. We went live in 2019, June 1st of 2019. This website goes live, and we have one sale. And on June 2nd, we have one sale. And on June 3rd, I don't think we sold anything. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, I just raised $13 million. What have I done? Nobody's going to buy this product. So we thought that our primary market was gun owners. And the reason we thought that was during the development of this product, we had gone to a lot of gun shows. And we had 3D mock-ups of the launcher that we'd have on the table. And we get a crowd around the table. And I would say, look, I'm a gun owner, but I don't know how quick I'd be to pull the trigger. And I would see people nodding in the crowd. I could see that we had struck a responsive chord. Sean Hannity's been a spokesman for us. And I said to Sean, look, I don't know how quick I'd be to pull the trigger, and I don't know how to represent 2% or 5% or 10% of gun owners. And he puts up his hand. He said, Brian, I'm a gun owner too. And you and I, we represent 90% of gun owners. 90% of gun owners live in mortal fear of ever pulling the trigger. So we thought gun owners were our market. So I approached a lot of gun reviewers and I said, would you review our Byrna HD? And we got a very negative response. No, it's not our market. People won't like this. There was one guy, a guy named Don Porter, has a website called Such00. He gets millions of views to his YouTube site. So I reached out to Don, and he gives me I don't think so. I don't think our viewers are going to be interested in this. So with my incredible charm and a check for $10,000, he agreed to review our product. And he gave it an amazing review, 17-minute review. If you go online, it's still there. I think it's now gotten close to 5 million views. But at the time, it got about 150,000 views that first month. And we started getting sales. And that year, June 1, 2019, we ended up the year at 924,000 in sales. And because of word of mouth, the next year, 2020, we started to see web sessions grow, 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month. By the time we got to the second quarter of 2020, we were at about 4,000 or 5,000 web sessions a day, selling 50, 60 launchers a day. June 9, I get a call, Fox News, the assistant to Sean Hannity. And she says to me, Sean is going to do a piece on less lethal tonight. Do you have any video? So we had just come up with an animated, 30-second video that we sent. And I figure he's doing a piece on less lethal, kind of a generic piece, and he'll run 5 seconds of our video. That's not what happened. He gets on, he says, it's crazy out there. There's rioting, Black Lives Matter, the George Floyd murder. You got to protect yourself. I'm a gun owner, but, I don't want to kill anybody. I found this thing called Byrna. Let me show you the video. Well, my phone goes crazy. Like every good Shopify entrepreneur, I have it set to cha-ching every time we make a sale. I think it's going to catch fire. I look down, there's 55,000 people on the website. That night, from 9 at night till midnight, we took $2.5 million of orders. And then it played on the West Coast, and we took another $2 million. By 6 in the morning, we had taken $4.5 million of orders. Now, keep in mind, we're coming off a $900,000 year. We're producing launchers at 50 a day, and I'm 10,000 units back ordered. That year, we ended up buying the manufacturing facility in South Africa. We converted our distribution facility in Fort Wayne to a manufacturing facility. And by the end of the year, we had worked through the backlog. We had 16.7 million in sales, and we were off to the races. And you can see this was when Sean Hannity spoke about us, but the trend sort of remained intact. It remained intact until last year, March 22nd. I don't know the importance of that date other than it was sort of on the heels of the Nashville school shooting. And we get notified by Facebook and Instagram and Google the same day, your ads are contraband, we're pulling them down, you can't advertise. Now, we couldn't advertise on mainstream media. We can't advertise on CNN or Fox or MSNBC or ABC, CBS. So we were very dependent on social media. And all of a sudden, our sessions went from 25,000 a day down to 10,000 a day. And our sales started to fall off. And when I gave our earnings call, I said, look, I've got to withdraw guidance because I don't know how we're going to tell people about Byrna. We had 13 million in cash. We were burning $2 million a quarter, and our stock cratered. We went from 10 down to $2.24. So I call up Sean Hannity. I said, Sean, can you help me out here? This is crazy. We are the good guys. We're wearing the white hats. We are the antidote to the epidemic of gun violence. And can you talk about it on your show? And he says, Brian, no offense, but this is not a news story. He says, well, why don't you advertise with me? Why don't you advertise on my radio show? And I said, you know what? I don't really believe in radio. I don't listen to it that much. I think this is really a visual product. You need to see it. He says, trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. It'll work. So on September 5th, we start advertising on his afternoon drive time show. And you can see what happens. Immediately, we see session spike and sales spike. Was it radio? It was not radio. What it was what Phil Knight had discovered at Nike. It was the power of celebrity endorsement. So Luan and I say, okay, well, is this replicable? Is it just Sean? Is it his audience? Is there something unique about his audience? Is it scalable? Is it sustainable? So Sean says, send one to my good friend Bill O'Reilly. So we send it to Bill, and Bill likes it, and he starts to talk about it. And then because we're on iHeart, we start advertising with Glenn Beck, Judge Jeanine Pirro, and we discovered the power of celebrity endorsement. Our ROAS numbers ended up climbing from the high 3s, low 4s that they were with social media into the high 5s and low 6s using celebrity endorsement. And then what starts to happen is we normalize this product. So channels that wouldn't allow us to advertise before, like TV, start to say, wow, this is a thing. We're now advertising on Newsmax. Our ROAS on Newsmax is high 8s, low 9s. Okay. For every dollar we spend, we get $8 in revenue. Our gross profit margin at retail is over 65%. You can do the math. It is phenomenally accretive. We have this quarter been sort of, I hate to say it, but keeping, the marketing people on a leash. Stop advertising, because our growth in Q1 was over 100%. Our growth in Q2 is on the same trajectory. What we need to do, though, because we're a manufacturing company, is we got to keep up from the manufacturing standpoint. We were manufacturing 10,000 launchers a month just a few months ago. Now we have to manufacture 18,000 launchers a month just to keep up. So this is we've been able to get back on the original growth trajectory. Clearly, we don't expect revenue growth to stay at 100%, nor do we expect earnings growth to stay at 100%. But we are starting to benefit from true operating leverage at this point. We are not only cash flow positive, adjusted EBITDA positive, we are GAAP positive. We are generating GAAP income. So it was sort of a blessing in disguise that we got kicked off of social media. So where are we today? At the end of Q1, our sessions were up 33% to 33,000 a day. The interesting thing is our conversion rate was also up. So normally when your sessions are up, your conversion rate drops. But we saw an increase in conversion rate. Most importantly, we saw an increase in average order value. So the benefit of this sort of trifecta of positive metrics is a 33% increase in sessions, a 0.24% increase in conversion, and a 10% increase in average order value is a 100% increase in sales. What's the future look like? We think that the DTC model, we will continue to scale. There's a lot of opportunities for us to increase advertising. We are just scratching the surface. I don't know what our brand recognition is, but it's in the very low single digits. There's huge opportunity. As I said, I think the market is in the tens of millions of people. We've sold a few 100,000. We also believe that there's a huge opportunity for us at retail. We've opened up a store here in Las Vegas to see if that model works. That store is doing more than $1 million in sales this year, with a gross profit margin of over 60%. And the thing that's so interesting is the conversion rate is 80%. So online, 1 person out of 100 buys. In the store, 8 out of every 10 people that walk in the store buy the launcher. Why? Because we give them an opportunity to shoot it. They get to go in the back, and we have shooting lanes, and they get to try it out. So we're looking at now expanding our brick and mortar from 1 store to 5 stores. And then if those 5 stores work in different markets, to rolling it out on a nationwide basis. Revenue, again, this was Q1. We were at 16.6. Q2 will be a new record. And we were adjusted EBITDA positive and at 16.6, net income positive. Cash at the end of Q1 was $24 million. We're generating about $3 million of cash a quarter right now. So we're not in the market to do any capital raise. You know, it's a, I hate to say bulletproof, but it's a very strong balance sheet right now. And we're in a particularly good position. We do have, and I'm running out of time, so I can't really go through it in too much detail, but we do have a very robust new product development pipeline. Next year, we'll be bringing out a compact launcher that we think will be, you know, attractive to a whole new segment of the population, people that are interested in concealed carry, and also women for whom this launcher is a little bit big to carry. Okay, so we think we're still at a very attractive valuation. Right now, we're trading at, you know, less than 3 times revenues. We look at some places like Axon that are trading at, you know, 12 times revenues. And we think we're just at the very beginning of the journey. Thank you very much. And if I have time, I've got about 2 minutes. I'll take any questions. Yes. First Up Taser is primarily a law enforcement product. It has a range of approximately 21 feet, and most tasers are a one-shot product, which means they're not really appropriate for civilians, for consumers. They are focused on the law enforcement market. We are focused on the civilian market. So I think Rick Smith is a great manager, but we don't really compete with them. Yes. At the far end, you can shoot this about 60 feet. If you shoot it within 5 feet, if your target is within 5 feet, you will be affected by the cloud. Yes. You know, the lifespan theoretically is indefinite if you maintain it. The only thing that would wear out in it are the seals, and we provide a lubrication kit. So keep in mind that the technology is not too different from paintball guns. They shoot tens of thousands of rounds. In the life cycle of this, you'll probably shoot a few thousand. Yes. No, it's not really possible to develop pistol rounds. Even the 12 gauge was very difficult for us because the rounds would break with the force of the 12 gauge. So I think that's probably where the limit is in the crossover with lethal weapons. Okay. You know, I'll take, I don't want to impinge on somebody else's time. I'll take some questions at the back. Thank you very much.